podcast about sports.
Howdy, Ags. From the tailgate, home of Aggie football. This is the coach and the delivery man. What's up, Corey?
What's up, Leo?
How's life at the UPS, man?
Same old, same old. People just talking about the Aggies, man, every day. Everybody's talking about the game, the big game this weekend. What's going to happen? What's the line? Line movement. Line guys at work are saying Aggies are +4. I've read today they're +2.
That line
changing.
has moved. It is 1.5 last I saw. Today's episode, Corey, brought to you by Frida Homes, building Aggie dreams. Custom home builders with over 15 years of experience in the Brazos Valley. If you're looking for someone that cares about you and the details you care about, contact Frida Homes. Visit them on Instagram at frida.homes or give Justin a call, 979-450-4466. When you call, just remember, everyone loves their Frida Home.
Frida Homes.
All right. Pub for the tailgate. Don't forget, folks, email us at agstailgate@gmail.com. Get on the YouTube. Subscribe. What is it?
Yep.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
Smash it or smash it. We don't know.
Either one.
Start off with some comments from the YouTube. Living with Jay says Jimbo said he talked to his coordinators, asked them how they were affecting the quarterback. Since then, they've been mixing up coverages, using more disguise, being more aggressive. Jimbo lit a fire under DJ, and then DJ stepped it up. Give them both credit. All right, there we go. Both credit.
I don't understand why it took this long to, you want to give them credit. Why wasn't this done last year? Why? I mean, we saw this last year. Why couldn't why do you let it fire him last year? I just don't get it.
Last year he was worried. He was only worried about the offense last year. Or
You should be worried about the whole team.
This is one of the improvements that he gets because now he's a head coach and not a coordinator anymore. So he's got the time to go criticize his coordinators. I guess.
I'll be honest. We're not talking about Jimbo or Durkin as much on the podcast as we did last year about how bad a job they're doing.
The last two games, there hadn't been much bad to say. Tyler Eubank responded to that comment, though, says, unfortunately, that it took an ugly loss to Miami to make the change. Good point, right?
Yep.
Jay Paul says, lots of us owe an apology to DJ. Didn't think his philosophy would ever work. Obviously, we did apologize to the Smirk and Durkin last week. Hopefully he just keeps it up. And those apologies are only one game at a time, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't change. The only thing Durkin did was what he realized was failing. He was trying to bring 3 guys. Now he's bringing more than 3. It's not just a 3-man pressure. It's more like a 3-4 where you're bringing who knows what. You're bringing people from wherever. Before he wasn't doing that. He was just bringing a 3-man defensive line.
Yeah, and he's still using the 3-man defensive line a lot, except he's doing it with a lot of blitzes from the linebacker position, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, all those guys that are lined up at linebacker are basically coming. And so it's a big difference from 3-man line and sitting back to 3-man line, but bringing 5 and 6, right? That's not the same thing. And he's adjusted that to be more more pressure oriented. And that's just that, to me, that's what this defense has always should have been about, right? Always should have been about. Our friend from Miami, New King God, he always wants to turn it back to Miami. So he says, wow. Given how well the Aggie defensive line has played, 15 tackles for loss, 7 sacks per game the last couple, what does that say about Miami's offensive line? Probably the best in the nation. I hate to break it to my boy, but that's not even close to being true. Once again, go watch the Miami game. No pressure.
That's what I'm saying.
No
That's what I'm saying.
blitzing,
We didn't bring the pressure.
None whatsoever. Go watch after that. Blitzes, lots of them, all the time. Difference, A to B. Right?
Yeah. It's like I was talking to you about, Leo. It took Durkin a year to find our podcast because that's what we've been talking about for the past year. Pressure. Be aggressive, play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, make the quarterback make mistakes. If he sits back there, he's less likely to make mistakes. There was no pressure on Van Dyne that game.
Look, we're just happy and glad that he finally is listening to the podcast. Osmark Durkin's a dude that, he's at least paying attention now. And so, we're happy to help. He doesn't even have to send us a portion of his big payday. Neither does Jimbo. Neither does Jimbo.
No.
We do this for the love of the program, man. We do this for the love of the program.
We do this for free, guys. We do this for free.
Cody Scherer responded to that, by the way. He says, give some credit to Miami, but at the same time, Miami game, Dirk was passive. He's not saying the Aggies would have won that game, but he'd like to see the rematch. And let me just say this. I disagree with him in one sense. We would have won that game. So
because the offense was moving the ball, Connor, defense would have stopped anybody that game. It would have been a lot different.
Yeah. So at this point, we can give credit to Durkin for making the change, or but at the same time, we can also blame him for not having done it earlier. I like to go to both sides of the line, right?
There you go.
All right, Corey. Aggies face Alabama. They're ranked number 11, 2:30 p.m. at Kyle Field. The place will be absolutely freaking rocking. That crowd is going to be electric. It's going to be jam-packed. It's also going to be the first day of fall in the sense of weather, right? It's going to be the first football game we play this year in weather that actually feels like football weather. It's going to be a little bit cooler out there,
It's not going to be 100? It's not going to be 100 degrees?
In the 70s, Corey. In the 70s. Biggest game of the year, no doubt about it, for the Aggies. Maybe the biggest game of the year for Alabama, too, right? This game right here, regular season, is going to be the matchup of the season in the SEC West.
No, I agree.
Before we get there, though, we've had some contact with our buddy, Mr. DeBerry, father of Josh DeBerry. Look, he reached out, and we're trying to work with him to try to see if we can get him on the podcast. I'd love to have him on the podcast, get the perspective of a parent, somebody involved in that sense, the family members, see what's going on that end. Hope that we can get it done next week. We'll continue to sort of talk to our technical specialists here, our technology folk, and see if, we can make all this happen. Get the
technology,
the tech team, the IT team involved.
Yeah.
The extensive IT group that we employ. And we're gonna see if we can make that happen. But when Mr. DeBerry reached out, he had some good points. And to be fair, we kind of put it on. We got to put it on Josh a little bit last week. We did sort of put it on him when he got burnt on that one and all those things. But a couple of things that Mr. Berry brought up. Look, one, since the change from Miami to the last couple of weeks, the change that we asked for, Corey, that Aggie Nation asked for, bring the pressure. Since that has happened, our cornerbacks on the outside are being asked to be on an island a lot more. But not only that, because, hey, look, if you're on an island, you're on an island. It is what it is. But they're also being coached to be aggressive because of the fact that the pressure's being brought, the ball should be coming out quick. So the coaching point is, not only are you on your own here, but I want you to be aggressive. Jump routes, right? Because the ball should be coming out fast. And what does that mean? Well, it means that on occasion, from time to time, they may get beat on a double move, right? That's just the way that's part of the scheme. That's part of what happens. Now, if everything goes right, the quarterback can't get the ball out on a double move, right? He doesn't have time to go through that process. If the front does what it's supposed to do, then it doesn't happen. Or the quarterback misses on that double move because of the fact that he doesn't have time to set his feet. And he's inaccurate, right? All those things should be a part of that consideration. And the idea being is we're becoming an aggressive big play defense instead of a passive back, just let you take long
do whatever you want
defense. And that's what we've asked for. We've asked for that. So we can't get just off our rockers all the time when there's one big play, right? Because that one big play is a product. It's very much a product of the defense we want them to play, right?
So what are you saying? You got to take the good with the bad. So you want to you're going to get the pressure, the sacks, maybe some turnovers, but every now and then you're going to give us some good big plays.
Yeah,
that's what I kind of figured. That's the whole deal of being aggressive,
right?
You're not going to sit there and they probably won't dink and dunk you down the field if you're putting that kind of aggressive nature in, and they might burn you a deep a couple of times, which they did. Arkansas did that one play, and like Mr. DeBerry said, it was a busted coverage. The safety was supposed to have help over the top. He didn't.
And that's also another great point, right? Like as an observer, you don't necessarily know what exactly was supposed to happen with some of the other guys, right? Was there a safety supposed to be there? He wasn't, clearly.
Right.
He wasn't there. Was he supposed to be? Well, we don't know. You always hear it on the offensive side with an interception for a quarterback, right? Like, oh, did the receiver run the wrong route or whatever? And so the blame's not always on the quarterback. Well, it's the same thing defensively, right? Maybe the idea once again was aggressive up front with a safety deep somewhere that should help you out over the top in the situation where they do try to burn you, right? But at the end of the day, I also think that there's situations where you just give it up, right? Now, we have to start seeing on the other end of that maybe some interceptions.
Right.
Interceptions from that aggressive play, right?
Because all we're seeing as a fan and as an observer is the last guy trailing the wide receiver into the end zone. That's who we see as the guy that screwed up. It's not so much the big picture of the whole play. You see DeBerry following whoever that receiver for Arkansas was, and so right away, DeBerry got burnt. And that's the way. And that's what sucks as a cornerback or a safety, because if you're the guy that's following the guy in the end zone, it could have been something that happened 10, 15 yards down the field. But they don't see that. All they see is the final play, and that's what sticks in their head.
And here's the other part of that, right? Sometimes on the broadcast, they'll show the sort of the all 22, right? The view from above, and you can see it develop a little bit more. And now you may be able to track the safeties, and then you may be able to say, well, the safety here probably has some of this. We just didn't see it.
Right.
End of the day, in most cases, we don't have the exact picture, but like you said, you sort of get that. I will say this about DeBerry as well. And I watched before, once we found out that he was coming to Aggie land, I watched a bunch of his tape over there at Boston College where he spent a lot of his time playing the nickel. And when you're in the nickel, a lot of times you're playing with your eyes in the backfield. You're a lot more aggressive. You have to be a part of the run fits a lot more. All those things happen. And so, it's a different style of play from where he's at here in Anglia, because here, because of injuries to what we're being told to Grimes, right? In fact, the Grimes,
right?
The fact that we had some depth issues on the outside. He was basically moved from inside to outside. He's been playing outside corner since the day he got here. And I'll be honest with you, if you go back to our podcast from week 1, man, we were all over the fact that dude was an absolute killer in week 1, right?
Oh, New Mexico, he was a player of the game on defense.
So and what helped him was that aggressiveness that he played with at the nickel. But that same aggressiveness, man, that physicality that we talked about that day, he's still playing with it, right? He still has it. Once again, what's the downside? Well, the downside is you may get burnt from time to time. It's going to happen.
Yep.
But you take the good with the bad. It's what we've asked for, to be honest with you.
And when you play at a program like Texas A&M, you're playing big games on TV against Arkansas at 2:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, whatever, and you play Alabama. You're going to have things like people like us saying stuff about that. And it sucks, but you got to be able to listen to it, do what you can to get better next week.
Yeah,
Rub it off. That's what makes you a professional. He's gonna be a professional one day. You got to
yeah,
rub
for
it off.
sure.
I think he's gonna be
You
fine.
got
I
to be
think he's gonna be
thick-skinned in
fine.
this world, right? You got to be thick-skinned in this world. But here's the other
Thick-skinned,
side of
yeah.
it, though. But and let me be very clear about this. When we talk about these guys, and when we talk about the players specifically, look, the coaches are in another sort of level because those dudes are grown men and they're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Y'all want to go say whatever you want to say about the coaches, man, go say it, right? I don't care.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to talking about the players, I'm all about it. We can critique their play. We can talk about the things that they may have been doing wrong on the field or what the things is going on with that. But these folks that take it upon themselves to all of a sudden start attacking these players personally and attacking their character and their effort and things of that nature, that shit's bullshit. That shit's bullshit because these guys are Aggies, my friend. These guys are Aggies, and they bust their butts every day out on the practice field, working their ass off for this football team and for this football program. And do they have a motive? Do they want to get to the next level? Sure, they do. All those things, of course. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they are Aggies, and so I hope I haven't done this. And if I have, I'm not doing it. Attacking them personally, that's not what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Be careful what you say about Lane Robinson, though. Go ahead. Just saying.
Hey, that's your job now. You got to keep me on the track. All right.
Okay, I will. We'll do.
We got.
Go back to the back.
That's it, man. We got
a big game this weekend.
Big game this weekend. Back to Bama. Look, Bama 4-1 coming in. They lost to Texas to TU in Tuscaloosa. That look, and that game. A lot of people have sort of looked at that game, and then the game that followed against what was the Florida team? Right after they played Texas.
They played Mississippi State, didn't they?
No. They played
South Florida.
They played South Florida.
Yeah. That was an ugly game. They benched Milroe.
And they knew they were going to win that game. They knew they were going to win that game, and they wanted to throw those other quarterbacks in there, see what they could do. They knew Milroe's their guy.
Yeah.
Take that game, just throw it out the window. Just throw that thing out the window. But people want to put this Texas game, and the fact is that it was a 34-24. That's a 10-point loss at home, right? And I think folks are sort of trying to attack Alabama, saying, "Well, man, this team isn't that good. They're not that good." They lost to Texas, and they lost by 10 at home. Like this is Nick Saban's lost his touch. He's not a good coach anymore. This team isn't any good. I don't know what happened to all the 5-star talent that they've recruited. It certainly ain't over there.
Still there.
Let me tell you, if you go back and watch these games, if you watch them closely, number one, they were leading the Texas game, by the way, in going into the fourth quarter. And the offense did struggle. It was bad. Milroe had some turnovers. There was things that went on there. But they also went 3 and out, 4 and out, 3 and out, 4 and out. And eventually that defense just wore the hell down, giving up some big plays over the top to Texas and allowing Texas to go ahead and take the lead and win that game. I'm not trying to make excuses for Alabama. There is no excuse there. But I will say it wasn't like this ass whooping that people were trying to make it sort of come out to be, right? And so be careful what you're thinking about them coming into this game, because they followed that up with an absolute ass stomping of Ole Miss. Ole Miss, the same team that just beat LSU 55 to whatever, 55 points on the board, scored 10 against Bama. And if you don't think that Lane Kiffin pulled out all the stops against Nick Saban and Bama, I mean, you clearly don't know that relationship, right?
No, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a great game. Alabama. You think Milroe is that good of a quarterback? You think he? I mean, we saw him last year. Wasn't pretty.
Yeah. So this and look, if look at the totality of what they've done this season, they're scoring 32 a game, which is ranked middle of the pack in the country, about 51st or so. But looking at this Alabama offense, and you asked me, I mean, do I think Milroe's that good? I've been saying it since the summer, right? I've been saying it since the summer. That dude is their guy. Okay.
Right.
That good is their guy. That dude is their guy. The thing that is going to make him a great quarterback for them is the coordinator buying in to what he does best and putting him in a position to do what he does best. And what does that mean? Well, it
He'll get on
means
the edges. He's going to run.
it means you got to, yeah, absolutely. You have to get them aggressive in the run game. If that
Yeah.
means called runs, if that means getting them out on the edges and doing different things, play action, right? But condense the formation some so that you give yourself advantages with the blocks, and then go off of those condensed formations, hard play action, and go hit it over the top, right? But you have to adjust your offense to Milroe. He's a phenomenal athlete. Don't waste your best athlete, right?
He's got a great. That guy's got a great arm. He's just not very accurate. I mean, I've watched him throw the ball this year, and he can throw it 70 yards in the air, but he doesn't know where it's going.
Well, the more you watch him, though, he's not accurate when his feet aren't set.
That's what I'm saying. They're not set very much because
Right.
he's moving.
Because he's usually if you get him to throw in rhythm on point, he can hit those deep balls, right? So it's all about designing the offense around him. And have they done that so far? They've gotten better. The last 2 weeks, they've gotten better about doing that. Look,
Right.
he is the catalyst, right? He is the catalyst. Because when he's a couple of plays in the running game, all of a sudden the defense is overplaying it. Next thing you know, the back is breaking one for 15, right? And you look at it, those backs are pretty good. I mean, McClellan and the other one is, I think, Williams. I mean, both of those guys are guys that have been in the program for a while, and they're physical backs that can get the job done, right? Both of them.
Physical backs. They're no better than what we have in the backfield, though. I compare them to, I think our backs and their backs, not much difference, to be honest with you. I'd almost say our backs are better.
Yeah, the truth is that, and I'll say this: I think that if they had one of their younger backs get hurt early in the year, or get even before the year maybe, and I think he may be a bigger part of this running game if he hadn't, right? But at the end of the day, these it's not like these guys are some scrubs off the street, right? These guys are big time backs with big time talent, and they will hurt you. They will hurt you, and they will hurt you especially when he is dominating your focus defensively, right?
What you're saying, I'm getting to where you're saying the backs are good, but they're only as good as the guys up front blocking, right?
Well,
that's where
sometimes the guys up front don't even have to be great blockers when the defense is so focused on Milroe that he takes so much attention, right?
I don't think that's the case right now with the Aggie D the way it's going. The Aggie D is just being aggressive. And the thing Alabama hasn't done is a lot of curation, a lot of movement, And we saw it in the past when they had Waddle and a couple of those other wide receivers. So they do
Smith, Williams.
They do more
Judy.
Reverses, and I'm not seeing that now. And I don't know if the offensive line is giving enough protection, because I laid around and thought about it. What position does Alabama have over A&M right now on their offense? Like, would I rather have – this is back when we had Connor. I'd rather have Milroe or Connor. I was thinking Connor. Running backs, I take Roy Moss is playing. I take Moss. I take
Yeah.
Owens. I take any of those. Wide receivers. You want to
No
give me?
question
You want
about
to
the
take a?
receivers. No
You
question
want to
about
take
that.
when it comes down to the offensive line, and I was like, Alabama offensive line, man. When I watched them play, and I haven't watched the last couple of games. I watched the Texas game closely, and I watched a little bit of that South Florida game. That South Florida game was ugly. I don't see it. I think that
Let me
this is
tell
the
you about
first
the
year
offensive
I can
line because
say. I
let me
think this is the first year that we match up with them position for position. To be honest with you.
I do believe that. I think talent wise, our roster's as good as theirs, maybe better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it might be better. Yeah.
And here's the thing, talking about that offensive line, because you're right, this offensive line is what is part of what's going to carry that Alabama offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot like the Aggie offensive line in the sense that, they're strong on the tackles and sometimes they have issues on the inside, right? And so something we're familiar with. I think the two tackles, man, are pretty good, as far as getting on a block and moving some folks, man. I'd like the right tackle specifically. That dude is a monster. I mean, he's a huge dude, and if he gets a hold of you, he's gonna drive your ass.
But the thing is, we're not bringing the pressure from the outside right now.
Right.
We're bringing the pressure right up the gut.
In the
I mean,
middle,
talking about,
on the outside,
you got McKinley,
inside and outside.
Jackson, Walter Nolan bringing pressure. You got the Russell and the linebackers bringing it up the middle.
So what does this Aggie defense need to do to be successful on Saturday? Well,
Everything they've been doing.
They have to do same thing they've been doing. The thing that I will tell you is that if Alabama is smart, right? Those guys are smart. What their goal is going to be is run the football, hold on to the football, get first downs, and then big plays, right? Big plays, whether that's play action pass or Milrow taking off right down the middle of the field. That's where he is most dangerous, by the way, is when he gets there, he hits the back of that drop, and he just goes downhill because he's so fast. The angles for those damn safeties doesn't work. They never recover, man. And those big plays are really are what this Aggie defense is going to have to be careful about, right? Ultimately, that's what they're going to have to be careful about. I almost prefer with him, force him to run sideways, because a lot of times when he goes sideways, he's still trying to find receivers, and then he becomes inaccurate throwing the ball, and then he's not as aggressive getting downhill. Man, when he plants and goes, he's a threat, man. He's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one stat, when we come out of Saturday, when we look at this Alabama offense versus the Aggie defense, the one stat that's going to be telling, time of possession. Because that's what Alabama's going to want to do. They're going to want to hold the ball, right? Don't put their defense in bad situations. Don't turn the ball over. Hold the ball. Eventually, we're going to break a play somewhere, and we're going to score just enough to go win this game. That's going to be their strategy. I'm calling it right now.
I hear you. I think biggest key to this game is to make Alabama a passing team. Make them a passing team because I think they're going to want to run the ball, like you said. I think the key to that is being aggressive. And then on offense, we need to score and take the lead quick. I mean, we get a good 10, 14-point lead. I think it's going to blow up their game plan. I'm not saying Nick Saban will panic, but he knows he'll have to keep up. Because that's the thing. Last week, the Aggie offense came out. The first couple games, every game they'd come out looking good on offense. The second half sucked, but we'll talk about the defense, the Alabama defense, Aggie offense in a minute. But that's my key to the game is getting a quick lead. It's not back and forth. We know what they're going to want to do. We think they're going to try to pound the ball, control the clock, not let Milrow mistakes kill them. So, and that's what we had to do is make Milrow make mistakes. We did it last year. I think we can do it again this year.
That offense isn't built for a big comeback, right?
Not anymore. Not like it was last year.
They get down 2-3 touchdowns.
Oh,
it's over, son. It's over. You know
That's
what I
what
mean?
happened against Texas. Remember the Longhorn game? Once they got behind, Alabama started slinging the ball. That's where Milroe made mistakes.
So as you look at this Aggie defense, you know, we've sort of talked about what needs to happen, right? What needs to happen. So who are the players that have to come up big on Saturday? Who are the players that have to come up big on Saturday for this defense to have success?
Well, what we're talking about is stopping the run, right? And their tackles is what you're saying are their strongest positions. So that means that on the running plays, those tackles will be blocking pretty well. So what are they going to run to the sweep? Because I don't think they're going to run up the middle against us. I don't think Nolan and McKinley they're going to give that. Some big guys on this game for me are like Diggs and Turner holding the outside edge, making sure they don't get around because those cornerbacks will probably be in man coverage, right? They're going to turn their heads and run with the wide receivers. They're not going to be watching a whole lot in the backfield.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Well, especially on the outside, I agree with you. I do think, to me, because of what I talked about earlier, right? I think this team is the biggest chance for them to big play sometimes is right up the middle of the field, right down the freaking middle. To me, you say it's McKinley Jackson and Walter Nolan. I think those guys are given, by the way. Those guys are givens. Yeah. They are just the most talented defensive tackle group in the country, right? That to me is great.
They're not getting the credit for it. They're not getting respect for it yet. They're going to, after this week.
Hey, listen, you know how it works in this game. You got to keep winning, right?
Yep.
You got to keep winning. I think it's your linebackers and your safeties, right? Because those guys are the middle of your defense, my friend. And to me, in this game, those guys are going to have to be able to make plays. They've been great. Coop's been great. York's been great lately.
Russell's been good.
Russell's been good. Made some huge plays, right? I mean,
right spot, right time.
Bryce Anderson, another guy in at the nickel spot, right? All those guys they're all going to be contributing factors here to make sure that this defense stays successful, right? I think that's the group to me that has to play well, because the one thing that can hurt you especially in a pressure defense, well, we talked about sort of the over top stuff, but the other thing is if that quarterback creases you, you're bringing pressure that creases you, there's nobody in that second level, you gone. You know what I mean? So
now, with you saying all this, you think Durkin's going to change his coaching style for this game? Or is he going to keep doing what he's done the last 2 weeks?
Man, I certainly hope he's going to keep it up.
I hope he doesn't change it either, man. I'm afraid he is, because I think Durkin's a guy that tries to overthink a situation and doesn't go, because he did it last year. He's done it this year. He overthinks a situation. He doesn't go to his strengths, which you need to do in a game like this. In a game like this, you got to play to your strengths.
Thanks, buddy.
Screw what the paperwork says. Hey, Alabama's got a running quarterback. Hey, don't be careful, Durkin. Get after him. Your offense can score some points. The offense will do its job. You got to take care of the stuff on the defensive side.
I do think, and look, every week we can say that, right? Every week we can say, is he going to stick to his guns? At some point, if he does it week after week, we'll have to just trust that he's going to continue to do it, right? I mean,
that's what the defense should be.
It's only been 2 weeks. No wonder. I think he does, because I think he's realizing it's the key to our success. That defense last week, literally, I mean, our offense did nothing in the second half. Nothing. And that defense, with that pressure, underneath those types of situations, were the ones that made the plays to absolutely dominate Arkansas. And so why would you change that strategy? Why would you change that strategy?
You shouldn't change the strategies. You should let Alabama be worried about our defense. Let them know what's coming and see if they can make the adjustments. We don't need to make adjustments right now. And look, what we're doing is working.
That receiving group for Alabama with Burton and Bond, now that rookie Hale coming up, they aren't Judy and Williams and Waddle and those guys, right? That's not that same level of wide receiver that we're talking about. They don't have, that guy out there. They
don't have that offensive line blocking for him either. And to give them that time, we should go. I mean, I see a big advantage on this Aggie defense against this Alabama offense right now.
I agree. At some point, We will see it though. At some point, we will see it. Those
What?
corners matched up one-on-one with those receivers, but on a deep
We
ball.
should see it all day. We should see it all day. To
On
be
a
honest
deep
with you,
ball. That's going to
Yeah.
happen, and they need to come up big. The Barry,
I think.
Chappelle. We saw Matthews in coverage a bunch out of the safety.
Yep.
Anderson in coverage some. Like those guys are still going to have to get it done, right? I mean, there's no question about it. You cannot allow him to get comfortable and just deliver dimes from back there, though. You got to make
Right.
sure that he's doing it on the run and forcing him to make a big time throw to those wide receivers with our coverage guys out there, right?
No, I agree. I
So
agree with you 100%.
Who's going to be your defensive player of the game?
I'm sticking with Cooper again, man. I think he's going to bring the pressure again up to the middle. He's been impressive. I think, Jackson and Nolan are taking. Yeah, they're going to take two defense or offensive linemen at a time. Those holes are just going to open up. I mean, it's going to be like a running back run through the offensive line with our linebackers. They're going to just come through there. I think we're going to have another defensive touchdown.
I like it. I'm going to go with somebody sort of out of the blue here, man. Completely out of the blue. Just
go.
Malik Silla this week.
That is out of the blue. It's way out of the blue. I wasn't expecting that. Or
maybe LT Overton.
Okay, I'm not going that far.
Maybe Diggs.
I can see Diggs.
But one of those.
I don't see Overton and Silla because I'm not seeing them as much as I'm seeing Diggs.
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to get to one of these guys that's playing more outside, right? On the ends. And
if we keep bringing this pressure like we are, we're going to start causing more turnovers. We only got one last week and maybe one or two the week before. I think it's going to start getting teams for 5, 6, 7 sacks in the game. It's only a matter of time for that ball starts coming out.
INTs,
funny and INTs, scoop and scores. You're going to see things. I don't know how Arkansas or whatever got it back on that ball last week on that punt. Remember that shit? That was ridiculous. We had 2, 3 Aggies. Cooper almost picked it up and ran it in himself.
Yeah, it hit him in the chest, man, on his way. Yeah, that's pretty good. I agree with you. So there's going to be a turnover in there. Something's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to be a crazy deal. So, all right, we'll talk about this when we do our predictions later on. But I'm feeling like you're thinking sort of low-scoring operation there for Bama. We'll kind of get into some details. Let's transition over to the other side of the ball. Aggie offense. Look, I can talk to you about this Alabama defense all day long, right? The interior defensive line is kind of stout. They're big, but they're not the big-time playmakers, right? Their big-time playmakers are those outside linebackers, the pressure guys, and Turner and Braswell. Those two guys are big-time. Their secondary gets tons and tons of praise, but one of the better ones is the freshman Downs. He's been, just all over the field for that defense. I think Kool-Aid keeps getting a bunch of praise as all SEC. I think he's a good player. He's not all SEC, if you ask me. He hasn't shown it. As a matter of fact, he's gotten beat a few times for them as well, to where people aren't afraid to throw his way, right? You look at this defense, and they're a group that, they try to make they're not exceptional on every play, but they do create negative plays, right? So they may give up a 4-yard run on first down, maybe a 6-yard run the next one. But then they'll create negative 2 yards. Now you're in 2nd and 12. Now they can do some of their sort of exotic blitzes and different things and bring some pressure and do all those things, right? They're not consistently great, but in the overall they end up great. Does that make sense?
Not really. No, this defense. I'm not as worried about the defense as I am about the Aggie offense, what I saw in the second half. I'm worried if our first half offense comes out there and plays that kind of game, the whole game, I feel very confident. If the second half offense comes out there, it doesn't matter what Alabama brings. We're screwed because we couldn't do it against Arkansas last week. And I think it's just the pressure got to Max. They started bringing it. They got aggressive. They played up on the receivers. We weren't beating people. Max didn't look accurate. He looked happy feet. This is a game. I think we're going to miss Connor in this one.
Look, if it's me and I'm playing the Aggie offense right now with Max, and I'm bringing pressure. I'm forcing. I am. I'm not going to let you run the football, and I'm going to bring pressure. And this defense for Alabama is susceptible when they do that. They're because they play tons and tons of man-to-man on the back end.
Right.
They're susceptible to getting beat over the top. They will give up a big play because of it, right? Because they will bring pressure and do those things. And like I said, I mean, coverage-wise, they're good. They're not great. And so with our wide receivers, you get those matchups, you're going to have to be able to take advantage of it, but you have to protect it up front. That's the problem, right? So can the offensive line hold up against this pressure? Can those two tackles hold up against the pressure from those rush linebackers? Because they're going to bring it, son. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that is the question. I mean, like I said, I'm nervous about the offense right this second after what I saw the second half of last week. If we, I think Evan Stewart's going to have a big game. If they play him man to man, he's very difficult to cover one on one. I'm not saying Anais, Noah, and any of those guys are easy to cover. I think Evan's a special talent. And if Max can figure out how to get him the ball downfield,
let's not put it on Max to figure it out. Let's get the coaches to figure it out, because here's at the end of the day what needs to happen, right? For this Aggie offense to be successful, we talked about, can the offensive line hold up? Well, we know they've got issues. We know that's probably not just going to all of a sudden be corrected overnight. So
what do you want to max protect? You want to max protect? What are you talking about? Leaving 8 guys?
You're max protect. If you want to go down the field, then max protect and force those dudes to at least get through multiple lines of defense there for Max, and then get the ball to Stewart, to Anais, to Moose, to Thomas, to Walker. I mean, the fact that we've got this embarrassment of riches at wide receiver, well, that doesn't mean you have to have them all out on routes in the same play, right? Shit. Right. Put your damn tight ends in there. Put your backs in there. Play action like crazy and do a little two-man route with the Stewart over the top and Anais coming underneath on the drag. And boom, and boom. One of those two guys is going to be open, I promise you. You know what I mean? That easy.
Yeah.
But if you don't give him the time, if you don't do things to help Max out, then we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem because our offense is going to look like it did in the second half last week. It's going to stall out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing is you can use some screen game. You can use some boot game, get him out from underneath that, especially on early downs. Let him hit the tight end maybe in the flats, the back out of the backfield quickly. Things that are easy, no need to spend a lot of time reading, just get the ball out of his hands. That's my opinion.
No, I agree with you. I think I don't know what they're seeing that they're not doing that, why they haven't been doing it already. That's why wasn't that done last week? There weren't any halftime adjustments. If they were bad ones because
and they had such a good first half. They didn't. The problem is that Arkansas adjusted at halftime, started bringing pressure, and we didn't adjust for that, right?
Yeah. And we have to go in thinking that they're going to bring pressure on us because that's what we're having problems with. And that's the same thing. I think any team's going to have problems if you bring the right pressure.
By the way,
I just don't know.
Max protect, double move.
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy?
Like I said, I mean, if you name me position for position, offensive and defense, Aggies match up great with Alabama this year. talent-wise. I mean, I'm talking. There's not a running back I'd take over our guys on their team, a wide receiver. I mean, right now I'd take probably. I don't know if I'd take Max or Milrow. Which one you want at quarterback? I mean, it's a they both have their strengths and weaknesses. Tight ends, defensive line. I'll take our defensive line. Linebackers. Our linebackers playing great right now.
Yeah.
Secondary. You know, I,
And I'll tell you
special
this.
teams and special teams. Give me the Aggie special teams any day. Nice. As long as
Bond
our
needs to quit.
field goal kicker.
Bond needs to quit missing field goals. Look, and the other thing I will say is this: I do think that you can't abandon the run in this game either, right? But if you can back those guys off, I think we can run the football on this front if you can force them to respect the pass, right?
Right.
But if they're in the box, I think we have a hard time. And if we're gonna run, don't be afraid to bring two backs and a tight end in there and do it out of a formation that's more of a power formation. Match up with them in the running game. You know what I mean? But you still need to run the football. You can't abandon it because otherwise, man, those guys are going to get blitz happy and absolutely kill you. You know what I mean? So Le'Veon Moss, a guy that runs with power, a guy that gets downhill. I think he's a guy, just like last week, just like the week before, has to be a big part of this game as well.
No, I hear you. All right,
So,
what you got?
Who you got? Player of the game, offensive player of the game. What do you got?
Evan Stewart.
That's a good call.
Evan Stewart, my player of the game. That's what I'm talking about. I think he's going to be hard to defend. I think they're going to be pumped. I don't understand why Alabama's favored in this game. Is it just because their name's Alabama?
Yeah. So let me tell you who I'm going to take. I'm going to take Anaya Smith. And you know why I'm going to take Anaya Smith? Because every time he's played Alabama,
love Anaya Smith.
Touchdowns. He's had 2 touchdowns every time he's played Alabama, I think. So
did he score 2 touchdowns last year?
He didn't play.
Well, there you go.
He didn't play. The dude is a Crimson Tide killer. Crimson Tide killer. Well, biggest games of the year every year against Alabama. Anaya Smith, player of the game. All right, let's go to the predictions. Bama is, as of today, was favored by, when I saw it this afternoon, favored by 1.5. That's down from what, 4?
Yeah, so 4 is where I've seen the highest is 4, and 1.5 is the lowest I've seen it. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to even. But
it's moving hard in the Aggie direction.
I was leaning under for this game, but I just think there's going to be a lot of big plays because of what we just talked about. I think the score's going to go over. I think it's going to be like Aggies probably kick about 3 field goals and maybe 3 touchdowns. So what's that, 30 points? I think it's going to be like 30-24, somewhere around there, 30-27. I see a lot of – because I think the defense –
over-under, by the way, 46.5 over-under right now.
I think the over.
And I think it's been moving down, right?
It has. It started at 49 and came down because I was leaning towards the under because you and I talked about it. But the more I think about it, I think these defenses are going to cause some turnovers.
So what's your score prediction?
Short fields. I'm going to say like 33-27.
Who?
Aggies.
See, I am still way on the under here, buddy. I am on the under, hard on the under.
I think that the defense and special teams are going to give up big plays, and I think there's going to be big plays, big scores like the Texas. They scored 8 points in the Texas-Alabama game.
Yeah, Texas is not going to be. That's not the Aggie defense, right? I think if our Aggie defense shows up to play like they have been the last 2 weeks, if they come out in pressure, which I think they will, because I just can't believe in my head that Smirkin Durkin's going to change from what has worked to what hasn't. I can't believe it.
That's where you're wrong, though. It's not the defense. Max Johnson gave up more points than the Aggie defense last weekend, I think, just about. You know what I'm saying? Because he threw a pick. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about
he had 3 turnovers.
That's what I'm worried about, short fields. I'm not worried about our defense. I think our defense will play great.
23-20. 23-20.
Okay. I mean, I said 33-27, so I'll take the over.
What side, though? 23-20, what side?
I don't know who you're taking. I'm taking the Aggies.
I'm taking the Aggies.
23-20. I'm not going to put money on it. I'm not crazy enough to do that.
I'm definitely going to put money. Here we go.
Yeah.
Around college football. Start with aside from the A&M Bama game of the week. Kentucky at Georgia. Georgia's minus 14.5 with an over-under of 48. What do you think?
These lines, I don't understand it. I didn't understand the Auburn Georgia line last week. I don't understand this line either. Has anybody watched Georgia play? They had a hard game against freaking Auburn, and I thought it sucked. And now Kentucky comes out and blows out Florida, and it's 14.5-point underdog to Georgia. Something weird is going to happen. I'll probably take Georgia then. I like Kentucky.
What did I tell you the moment I saw this line, Corey? What did I tell you?
Somebody's doing something, man. It's weird.
What did I tell you I was going to do the moment I saw this line?
I'll probably go broke betting on Kentucky.
Boom. That's it. You hit it on the head. I think this point spread is absolutely whacked.
Something's weird. I thought it was weird last week with the Georgia Auburn game, though, so I don't know. Then we lost our ass on that one.
True. Yeah, well, that's true. So, because we gave too much respect to Georgia, I'm not going to fall for that trick again.
Right.
I'm taking Kentucky, if I didn't make that clear.
I mean, I would too if I were you, but I'd probably touch this game unless I tease it and take Georgia minus 4.5.
LSU at Missouri. LSU's minus 5.5 against a 5-0 Missouri team. 64.5 points on the over/under. What are your thoughts?
I told you last week we're betting the over every week on LSU because their defense is playing like crap and their offense is fast. I'm talking fast. I take LSU minus 5 on this, minus 5.5 because I don't believe in Missouri.
I don't know what to believe here, man. I don't know what to believe here. I'm not going to touch the point spread on this one. I really won't.
I will. Who's Missouri beat? They beat Kansas State at home. And Kansas State, I don't think is anywhere as close as good as LSU. LSU has the talent on both sides of the ball. They're just not putting them together yet.
Yeah, but the other side of that is that, you know, my high school team could score 50 on LSU's defense. I mean, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Because Missouri's got a decent defense, right? They're known for their defense to a certain extent.
Are they? Do they? I mean, Vandy scored, 20-something points on them last week? Yeah, they're decent.
All I'm saying is one stop, right? LSU may not get a stop. What I will take over, I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take the over without even thinking about it. It's like, yes, if LSU's playing a football game, the over.
Yes. That's what I agree.
Arkansas, Ole Miss is minus 11.5, 63.5 over under. Man, Arkansas is getting a little bit of a downside after losing to A&M. I don't think people have any faith in them. I don't guess people actually believe that A&M's any good.
That's the thing that bothers me. I didn't think Auburn was any good. Maybe our defense is that good. Maybe it's just that the defense is making these offenses look that bad.
Yeah.
Because Arkansas did not look good.
No.
On offense.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know which I would lean Ole Miss. And this might be another game I take the over because another defense that I saw last week that doesn't tackle anyone's Ole Miss.
I would probably bet the over here. Here's the one thing I would say. This is too many points for me to take Ole Miss. I have no faith that Lane's going to kick field goals. I have also no faith that in Ole Miss's defense, right? I think this game is an SEC West game. I think it's tight. It's a one-possession type game. I'd take Arkansas with the points. That's what I would.
Yeah, I hear you.
Vandy at Florida. Florida's minus 18.5 with a 52-point over-under. Listen, Vandy sucks.
They do.
Let me just say that again. Vandy sucks. They're not a good football team.
Oh, that Florida team
Florida's
got beat
not
up
a good
last week.
football team either, Corey.
Florida's better than Vandy. They're a lot better than Vandy.
Better?
It'd be close. It'd be close. I think because Florida played good at home against teams I saw. It's like Florida has to get up for these games. I don't know. I mean, they're not going to get up for Vandy, so I'd probably take Vandy. To be honest with you,
to cover. To cover.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not taking Vandy to win.
Which, by the way, means that they're not going to hit the over on the season total, right? Because Florida is one of those teams that you expect. You said they might have to win to hit that. Let's move out of
Yeah,
the SEC.
Vandy's done. Yeah, Vandy's done.
Let's move out of the SEC. Big game in the DFW area. Oklahoma, Texas. Texas is minus 6.5. 60, son, is the over-under. Wow.
I don't know if this Oklahoma team's for real. I'm not for sure. This Texas team, I think, is for real. I'd lean Texas right now, and probably the over because I think these offenses are high octane. I just don't know about the Oklahoma defense.
I'm gonna let me say this. Number one, I said earlier, I think the Alabama A&M game is the game of the year in the SEC West. I believe that 100%. That is, when it's all said and done, the year is over. That is going to have been the deciding game in the SEC West. This is the game of the year in the Big 12. And we may see a matchup of it, a rematch of it in the Big 12 championship, right? This
They can both be, or they don't have divisions, do they?
No divisions, right?
I got you.
This game, by far, is the most important game in that conference. There's no question about that. And this is a rivalry of rivalries, my friend. Rivalry of rivalries. Oklahoma got embarrassed last year without a quarterback. They went in there and they were basically running a running back at quarterback for that game. They couldn't score and they absolutely got embarrassed. This is about pride. Give me the points. I'm taking Oklahoma and I'm going under, by the way.
Okay. I'll take Texas in the over. I got
you. Maryland against Ohio State University. Ohio State's minus 20. Maryland is Maryland 4-1?
I thought they were undefeated.
Or undefeated. I mean, they may be undefeated.
Yeah, Maryland's 5-0.
5-0 against 5-0 freaking Ohio State. 57.5 on the over-under. 20-point spread here, man. No respect for Maryland. What are you thinking?
Over. I think Maryland's going to come out gunning. Tua's little brother is going to air it out. I think a lot of points will be scored in this game. That's my pick. 20 points is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Maryland's beat Indiana. They beat them bad last week. They beat Michigan State by 22. They beat Virginia by 30. They beat Charlotte by 18. I don't understand why the spread is 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's just name on that jersey. It says Ohio State. People are putting that, but I mean, Ohio State will probably win the game.
I agree with you. I'd take Maryland. I'd take the points.
Okay.
I agree with you. How about Washington State, UCLA, big time game out in the Pac-12. UCLA's minus 3.5. They're a favorite against undefeated Washington State. 59 over under. What do you like in that game?
Washington State, man, they surprised me this year. That's been your dark horse, hadn't it? They've been winning games, but they're on the road this time. And I think on the road, UCLA might get the win.
You remember, let me not mince any words here. Washington State, take them, bet as much as you want. It's freaking gold. Those dudes are winning this game. Not only are they going to cover the 3.5, they're going to win the game.
Oh, you like Washington State that much, huh?
Washington State. Cam Ward, right? Cam Ward?
Yeah.
That's all I got to tell you. UCLA's offense looked not good. Not good. I don't expect those guys to keep up with that Washington State offense. I don't think they can do it. I think UCLA is overmatched, even at home.
Yeah, I think the home field, this is Washington's first really road game. Big deal.
How about Syracuse and your boys in blue, the UNC Tar Heels?
Dude, UNC, give me Carolina. Syracuse just got beat up by Clemson at home. And this happens to them every year. They come out of the gates 4-5-0. They start playing decent teams, and they show who they really are. And who they really are is
Not good.
Basketball school. Yeah, they think they're playing basketball.
I don't know if they play basketball anymore. Did they fire Bayham this year?
Yeah, they fired Jimmy.
That they may not even be a basketball school anymore. I'm with you. I'd take UNC. Michigan at Minnesota. Minnesota is plus 19. So Michigan minus 19, 46 over under.
Minnesota lost to freaking who'd they lose to a couple weeks ago?
Northwestern.
Northwestern. They
Everybody?
lost to Northwestern.
Yeah.
Give me. Did Minnesota lose last week? They were losing. No, they came back and won that game last week.
Look,
Yeah, I can't trust Michigan or Minnesota. I don't trust Minnesota.
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
Hey, another big game. Notre Dame at Louisville. Undefeated Louisville, right? Undefeated Louisville.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's minus 6.5, 54 over under. What do you think?
I watched Notre Dame play quite a bit, and I watched Louisville play quite a bit. I watched Louisville play North Carolina State last Thursday and Friday night. But I was impressed with them before that game. That game was ugly. The offense for Louisville didn't look good. I think Notre Dame's on the road, and I think Notre Dame's rushing the tackle. They'll beat them by 6.5.
Here's the one thing I'm going to caution you about, because in this game, Notre Dame coming off of two, not one,
Big
two
games.
huge games. Ohio State, Duke, and now it's Louisville, right? Is there
Undefeated Louisville.
Is there a letdown?
I think the letdown might have been last week.
They
Duke played a great
game.
Notre Dame's offense didn't look that good last week.
They should have lost that game last week.
Oh, dude, they should have lost that game like 3 times.
Notre Dame's offense didn't look that good the week before. They should have won that game. So there you go.
Well, I think Notre Dame's offense wakes up right here. I think they beat them pretty handily.
I like it. How about Oregon State at Cal? Oregon State's minus 9.5.
I mean, Oregon State's going to win this game. I don't know about how much, but I take Oregon State to win it. They got the better team. Cal, I've watched both teams play. It's not. I mean, this point spread is 10 points. It might be, that might be up 16 or something. Backdoor cover.
Let me say this: I think Oregon State wins this game, and I don't think it's really all that close. I'd go by 20.
Okay.
Arizona at USC. USC's minus 21.5. Have they earned that? Have they earned 21.5?
I think at home they have. I think if they would have played Colorado at USC, that's totally. He's home, and this home field advantage, dude. It's a big thing. And I think 21.5 at USC, I could see that happening.
News on USC. I think there's rumors out there that Williams, the quarterback, Caleb, has said that if he doesn't like the team that's picking first in the draft, he may come back for another year because NIL money's so good he'd be making more in college than as a pro.
I don't know about that. Okay.
That's what he said.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Questions from the tailgate brought to you by Carney's Pub and Grill, a great place for game day. Food and drinks are great, but the people are better. Question number 1, Aggies currently unranked.
Yeah.
4-1, unranked with a loss to Miami. If they beat Bama, where will they be ranked? Where will they be ranked?
Alabama's number 11. Aggie's unranked. It depends on who else loses in the top 25. Oklahoma or Texas, one of them's going to lose, right? LSU or Missouri, one of them's going to lose. Georgia, Kentucky, one of them's going to lose. There's about 5 teams that are going to lose. So, I don't know, maybe number 20, 19.
Yeah.
I don't see it going that much higher. I mean, you might. I don't see it going from top.
That's where I'm going to go to. 23.
Now, I'd say like 19 or something. If they win and it's decisive, like I think it will be, like 33-27, that's a decisive win. I'm not talking last second field goal. Yeah, either way, as long as the W is a W, there's going to be 5 or 6 ranked teams lose this week because there's matchups. There's ranked matchups.
Yeah, but some of those guys are very highly ranked, right? So they're not dropping down.
Georgia won't fall out.
Right.
If they lose. LSU or Missouri, one of them two will fall out. You know what I'm saying?
LSU will fall out. I agree.
Yeah. Notre Dame, Louisville. If Louisville loses, they're going to fall out. They're number 25.
Let me also say this. I actually do believe it gets into the 23-22 area. But let me also say this. It doesn't matter. right?
No, we just keep winning.
Just keep winning, right?
We'll be in
Don't
first
care.
place in the SEC West if we win this game. Is that right?
Yeah,
By ourselves.
by yourself.
Yeah, and that's all you have to do. You keep winning. You win this game. And we're not even talking about Tennessee yet, and that's next week on the road where we've had our worries. But you win this game, it shuts a lot of people like me and you up.
You have plenty of games left to get the rankings under control, and don't worry about it, because if you win the West, you've got to go face whoever wins the. I mean, if you win the West, you got to go face whoever wins the East. Probably Georgia, right? Who's
Maybe Kentucky.
It could be Kentucky. Either way, one of those teams is going to be in the top 5. You know what I'm saying? And so,
I hear you.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Win the game. Biggest upset of the week for you this week.
The biggest upset of the week. Son. Man, that Kentucky game looks good, doesn't it? Kentucky looks good.
Does it?
Kentucky looks good.
Does it?
I guess it's Kentucky. That's the one I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, that's
Well,
the
it's
biggest
only
upset.
Kentucky if you actually think that they're gonna win. So
Actually, give me UCLA over Washington State.
UCLA's favored, buddy. That's not an upset.
Hey, they're 3-1. They're not ranked. They're playing the number 12 team in the nation. That's an upset.
3.5-point favorites.
So if the Aggie line changes to even, is it an upset?
Even's no up. There's no upset in an even matchup.
I'm just talking about the ranking. If there's a ranking in front of you,
listen, the folks that rank these teams know nothing. Vegas, that's who we go by. And
okay,
so I'm going to tell you who the biggest upset of the week is going to be. I'm just looking right down my little list. It's going to be Texas, son. Texas. Boom.
and Texas is going to lose to Oklahoma.
Drop it right there. Mic drop.
I don't see it. I'll take Texas. I'll take it. Man, we're gonna lose a lot of money this week because we're gonna be on opposite sides.
Sure enough. Hey, we were on the same side last week and we lost a lot of money, so who gives a shit?
That's true. Very true.
Gig 'em Aggies, Corey, AP from the tailgate. See ya, fellas.